The only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Forming no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We'll bring in the news and reviews of your favorite brews. I am Dan Baker, joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the demented and fermented,
Wayne Baker, and also Moo.
and also Moo. Moo was on the table in front of the camera, and she will make another appearance. It will happen. So the last couple episodes, most of the last few episodes, I should say, we have been featuring breweries from the other side of the state with, a detour to Michigan in between. But that continues because we're going on this run through of the cool Pittsburgh breweries that there are. So we have joining us all the way from Pittsburgh from Necromancer Brewing,
Lauren Hughes.
Woo! Lauren, thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. There's a whole lot, I'm sure, that we're going to get to. In fact, one of our previous guests name-dropped your brewery a few times when he was on. When we had Adam on, he was speaking very, very, very highly of you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, I got that vibe.
Yeah. He's super fun.
Cool. Well, I I know we're going to have a lot to get to. Let's just get the housekeeping out of the way. You listening to this right now, you know where you can find us besides, the Google machine. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, we're at Beer Busters. Facebook, we are Beer Busters Podcast.
I'm never going to
your head,
get
Wayne.
used to saying TikTok.
I know. Well, I've had the same spiel and order for social media for the longest time, and now I just added one into the mix, and it just confuses me.
Yeah.
Facebook, yes, we are Beer Busters Podcast. There's beerbusterspodcast.com. Don't forget to add /shop. There's YouTube, where we are Beer Busters Podcast. And, of course, there's patreon.com/beerbusters, where you can get access to all sorts of fun goodies like Last Call and the behind-the-scenes feed and, all the other things.
Extra goodies.
Yeah.
Speaking of Last Call, I did want to mention, while we're shouting out Adam from a previous episode, our most recent Last Call, as of this recording, is him telling us amazing stories from his long career as a wrestler, and it's just a really cool additional Last Call. I don't often plug specific episodes of Last Call on the main podcast, but this one was really cool, and I think worth a listen. So if you haven't checked it out and you're a patron, check it out. If you're not a patron, consider becoming one.
As little as $1 a month.
As little as that.
All it takes.
I just TikToked, I think.
You think? you were the one who drove the charge for it. How do you think you did it?
No. The 17-year-old that was on our podcast is the one that led the drive.
Well, no, that's true. But you were the one who actually got us to be on board with creating a Beer Busters TikTok.
Yeah, I can create it. I can't create content for it, though.
When was the last time we TikToked?
Just now.
Before now. When will then be now?
Probably the sticker scandals.
Yeah, if you want to know.
Yeah, follow us on TikTok to watch us, mostly Dan, I think, covering up other beer peoples, internet beer peoples who will remain nameless, their stickers in various places with their own stickers. It's fun.
I mean it mostly with love.
Mostly with love.
Mostly.
Well, we used to do it to Hophead stickers, but R.I.P. Bart, I feel
Yes.
like we move on now.
Yeah.
We target others.
Yes, now we target other people.
It's all out of love.
Of course.
Exactly.
Well, before we get started,
Just
I
like
did
me, I'm
want
all
to
out of love.
quick mention what I'm drinking. We recently met up with Slimy Sauce, aka Pickles, aka Rockin' Tuna Gravy. You know him as Mark Graves. He has been bugging me to get out to Atlantic City ever since the Seed opened up. And COVID sort of delayed that a little bit, but I made it a priority over winter break to go visit him. And man, am I glad I did. Awesome spot. Amazing beers. And the English Bitter was my favorite beer. They had a black lager on that was insane. Some really great farmhouse ales. They had a couple of saisons, a farmhouse ale. They had a few IPAs that I found quite enjoyable. They had a barrel-aged old ale that was just ridiculous. Just really, really fun stuff. The owners are amazing people. A husband and wife team. The woman is very active in the brew house. Super, super smart lady. Hopefully we can get them on the show sometime soon. And they were just voted through USA Today as the best brewery of 2021.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
that title is going to be a theme in tonight's episode. But I am drinking unhurriedly, which is also kind of a mantra that I've been learning over the last 2 years to not hurry so much. which is a pub ale that was not on tap when we were there, but luckily they had it in cans. So I picked it up and enjoying it very, very much. But a lot of attention around this brewery right now, and very much deserved. But it was super busy when we got there, but died down after the first hour or so. We were there during the week, so I think that helped too. But really chill vibe. We were there almost from open to close. Just hanging out and drinking beers, catching up with Mark. But if you're near us or traveling to the Jersey coast, I highly, highly recommend checking out The Seed, because it was a good time, and I can't wait to drink more of their beers.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things.
You can't go wrong hanging out with Mark.
There's also that.
No matter where.
And there's squirrels on the can. Look how cute this can is.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cute.
It's adorable.
Well, Wayne and I are drinking a beer that also has animals. Well, an animal on the front,
because it's a Doppelbock.
Yes, it is Doppelbock, a simulator from Human Robot.
Simulator.
I was there a couple of weeks ago. Got a 4-pack. They had Polatamave on, but it wasn't canned yet. So I did have it there, and I did a milk tube. I finally did a milk tube.
Oh, you did the yeah, but it's not cool anymore. You missed it.
I felt cool. Don't take away my coolness, man.
On the way to Atlantic City, we did stop and pick up some 4-packs, and I did get 4 packs of Tamave, which I was going to grab. I'm like, I always drink Human Robot on the show. I'm going to drink some different stuff and give other people a shout out, but I haven't cracked one open yet. So I'm really excited that's finally being canned. And for people that might not know, Tamave was actually the original beer they were going to brew. And then they ended up brewing Palatamave, and everyone loved it so much, and they loved it, they just kept making Palatamave. So now they've finally made and canned Tamave,
because it's
so one is a Czech garnet lager and one is a Czech dark lager, and I have both, so we should do side by side at some point.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I also want to shout out to Dan, because this can of Assimilator is from his personal 4-pack that he offered to me. Otherwise, I would be drinking a citrus and green tea AHA for tonight's proceedings, but I've upgraded to a Doppelbock, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
I also have one of your citrus AHAs.
Oh, we're even then.
So we're even.
Can we get them to be a sponsor of our podcast?
We should,
Yeah,
if not just a sponsor of my life.
I think they're owned by like Coke or
Coke.
Pepsi, though.
Yeah.
Coke. Yeah.
Because whenever I go to the movies and they have one of those Coke
they
freestyle
always
things,
have
I can
AHA
get
in
an
it.
AHA.
Yeah. So, Lauren, are you drinking a beer? I hadn't noticed, as long as we're all talking about what we're drinking.
No, I'm actually drinking seltzer water.
Nothing
Is
wrong
it
with that.
AHA?
I made this seltzer water. Yeah, once COVID hit, I didn't want to buy it all the time, and I was used to having it. You know, at work you have the guns,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the little soda guns, and I would just drink and drink and drink it. And when COVID happened, I was like, I can't afford this, because I drink it. No, I will tell people I have an addiction to seltzer water. It's so my homebrew setup wasn't really using it. I now have a kegerator that's full of seltzer water.
That's pretty cool.
That's a brilliant idea.
I
Actually.
like that. I need one of those.
Yeah, my a couple of the guys on the crew found out about it, and they also I think we all just have a seltzer problem. They also drink a lot of seltzer water, and they were like, can we do this at work? And I was like, yeah, I'll build one for work. So now we have a keg in the cooler that's just seltzer. So cheap, it's easy.
I feel like that's a good addiction. It's affordable and healthy.
Yeah. I would have grabbed a beer. I grabbed water when I ran upstairs because I was running late. You know.
We understand if you have to be a couple minutes late to grab a beer. That's acceptable.
Yeah,
that's
that's
normal.
allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I
Well, if we
appreciate
take a break, then I'll go run and grab something out of the fridge.
I think.
Well, the great thing about this not being live is that at any point you can be like, I need to go get a beer.
Yeah,
and
beer time.
just pause and say,
All right, I'm gonna go
do it,
I'll be
yeah.
right back. I'm gonna
Get a
get
beer.
this might be a good time to talk about this. Another place that we checked out over break, I finally got to Shy Bear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw.
I guess it was the day after Christmas. We woke up, the sun was out, it was nice. We're like, let's go for a drive. So I emailed Jason and I'm like, hey, I'm headed your way. Don't know if you're around. But he was there. So it was really cool to catch up with him. He gave us a tour of the brewery and the facility, and holy crap, they have a lot of land up there.
Mm-hmm.
So many possibilities for future growth. The coffee house thing is there too. That wasn't open, but we were able to buy coffee at the pub. He took us into their event space, like private event space, which is amazing, like upside down drum set on the ceiling with lights and like the walls covered in vinyl. I put a video on on an Instagram post for anybody that wants to check it out. It is amazing.
Did you put it on TikTok?
No, I would love to rent it out if it wasn't like an hour and 45 minutes away from me. Yeah. But so cool. We ate so much food.
I bet.
Everything was to die for. They have, so it reminded me of Mad Chef a little bit, and they have so many sauces to go with everything, and you can buy different sauces, and the menu is just amazing. All the food we had was amazing. We had 2 flights of beer plus was it a Pilsner or a Kolsch or something that we were just drinking between the flights, and it was definitely worth the drive. I want to go back when it's warmer out. There was a band that was going to be playing later in the day inside, but the outdoor space, which we saw virtually when we recorded with them, was really cool. So I want to get out there and actually see some live music outside and enjoy some beers. He said there was a hotel like a mile away. For anyone that's ever driven to Penn State from our area or from even the Harrisburg area, they are the exit before the Electric Avenue exit. And if you've driven that way, you know exactly where I mean.
Yeah, that seemed like a really cool spot when we had him on the show. I'm glad at least one of us got to actually see it in person.
And awesome. the cans, I picked up some bottles, which hopefully we can all hang out and share the bottles. But I saw they had a Brute IPA, and I saw it on their screen, but it wasn't on the tap list. And I said to our server, I'm like, I need this Brute IPA. I haven't had one in years. Like, I love that somebody's making one again. And she said that they didn't have it on tap anymore, but they did have a few cans. So I snagged its Flirtation Ship. Super bright. Maybe I'm a little nerdy on this style. I'm not a hazy IPA drinker, but I do love a Brute IPA. So I'm enjoying it. And he let us have a taste of something from the tank. Oh, it was a Vienna, I think. It was a Vienna, right?
Oh, cool.
They have a few, of course, I'm there now. And he said in a few weeks, they're going to have a bunch of lagers on. So he was trying to entice us to drive back up.
Nice.
So I got to hit up 2 really cool spots during winter break.
I like that he was telling you about the lagers they have coming up. He knows what he can do to get you out there.
Yeah, I mean, he knows what I like. I want coffee and lagers.
If you lager,
he's got them both.
So Lauren has returned with a can.
Just gonna ask, what are you drinking? What do we got?
All right, so this is it's called Blindfold. It's a Schwarzweizen we made. It was a resurrection, so we'll probably get into it, but we resurrect old beer styles. This was one of them. It's pretty much just like a black Hefeweizen.
Oh, okay.
It turned out really well. I was pretty pumped about it because, I was like a dark Hefeweizen that's either going to taste like shit or it's going to taste really good.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
Hey, but if it works,
it actually works.
Yeah.
It works. We fermented it a little bit lower with the hef yeast to make it not have so many esters, but no, it works. It's not super roasty. I didn't do a ton of roast on the grain bill, and it's actually really good. So
awesome. That's cool. It sounds like it. I would very much be interested in trying that. I guess I'll have to get that when I'm out in Pittsburgh next time, which I've been saying for multiple episodes in a row needs to happen soon.
This sounds lovely. However, it's also kind of sad because like Dan said, we're not close to Pittsburgh and we definitely want to get out more often. But looking at your numbers from 2021, you brewed 52 unique beers this year. And 41 styles, I think, is what the Instagram posted. So I assume you did not brew anything twice in 2021.
We did.
Oh,
we've actually, I brewed my 73rd batch last week.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, we're cooking. We have some house beers. So Square Dancing is a Kentucky Common. That's a house beer. Wildwood is a Grisette. That's a house beer. We have any IPA ever, which is like our house hazy IPA. And then we have Laissez-Faire, which is a wit. That's a house wit. So all of those were brewed a few times. And then, the rest of it's just, pedal to the metal. We have a couple series of IPAs. We kind of have your traditional old school IPAs and West Coast IPAs. We do a red rye IPA, black IPA, Belgian IPA, kind of all the stuff that I cut my teeth on when I started drinking beer. That not many people do as much anymore, and those got brewed a couple times. And then we have like the hazy series, which is the House Hazy, and then we have One Hop Wonder, just like a single hop hazy, and then we also have Hop with No Name. We kind of partnered with the first one with Yakima Chief hops to showcase some of the newer hops they're coming out with that don't have names yet. They're always the numbered, they're HBC, whichever. So we did 630 and 586, and we have a couple more coming out. So yeah, we brewed some stuff twice, but yeah, we're going fast.
So I guess we should rewind a little bit. Talk about what Necromancer means and how that sort of influences what you guys do there, and specifically what you do in the brew house.
Yeah, so a Necromancer is something that raises things from the dead. Ben, our founder and owner, he approached me last July, and he had this idea. He had the name, and I mean, I loved it because I was like, yeah, sweet, I get to be creative instead of just brewing the same 6 beers over and over again. And it sounded awesome. So we resurrect old beer styles. I get to research and, scour the internet, look at books and find old recipes and try and make them not taste like they're from the 1800s or pre-prohibition with, all our modern technology. And yeah, it's super fun. So this is what, the 12th? Yeah. So we've done 12. We've done so many, I can't remember how many we've done. Yeah, so this was 12. We called the Kentucky Common was one, just because I think there's maybe a handful of breweries that have done one, and it wasn't a popular style since pre-prohibition. And then, yeah, we've done some crazy off-the-wall ones. We did one that was a pearl beer, which is essentially a dark mild with licorice, orange, and ginger in it. And they used to, in the Pearl River, they used to have this stuff in casks, and when people would cross the river, they could drink this pearl beer. That was interesting to make, just because you're like, is this going to taste good?
That's always the thing.
That was one.
Brewer, sorry, as a brewer, you're just kind of like throwing stuff at a wall, being like, this is what I know. This is the knowledge that I have about, how this malt's going to work and how these ingredients work together. And I think this will do this. And then just kind of seeing how it turns out. It's been fun.
Cool.
Challenging.
That one I had to Google. I did not know what that was. That was the one I had no idea about. So is that something, have you had that beer style before, or you were just like, oh, this sounds interesting, I'm just going to try to brew it?
Yeah, that's pretty much how we're operating. Is the same with the Schwarzweizen. A sticka, we did a sticka, and we call that a resurrection just because not many people do it. If you go to Germany, you can sometimes find one, but no, I just research, and then you kind of, sometimes the books will say what's in it or just give descriptors, and then you're just taking that and being like, okay, because the descriptor that they had was it's a dark mild, and they use this instead of hops. We used hops because hops are great.
Hops are great.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's just kind of researching and running with it. Like a Kentucky Common was pretty easy. It's a dark cream ale. Okay, so what kind of flavors do I want from that? And then it's been everywhere in between. So yeah, it's been super fun. We did a Breslau style dark Schopes, which is a dark wheat beer that was fermented with clean yeast. And that turned out really good. I was like, all right, so we'll just make a darker wheat, throw some Cali yeast, and see what happens.
Very cool.
And then Hop Culture loved it. So I was like, sweet.
Yeah, Hop Culture has given you guys some love, which is exciting. Necromancer was named one of the best new breweries of 2021, and they called out Farmer's Tan, the Breslau style dark. How do you say it? Schopes. Thank you. They called it one of the best beers they drank in November, which is, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was very unexpected. I was very humbled for both of those. I think they actually said Farmer's Tan was one of their best beers of December too. They liked it. They really liked that beer.
Nice.
I thought it was a good beer, but Hop Culture really likes that beer.
I read an article of the best beers of 2021 as named by brewers and brewery owners and beer writers. And I happened to catch it because Sam from Bond Place named a Stickman beer as his beer of 2021. So that's how I came across the article. And I was really curious to see who were the people they talked to and what beers were chosen. And I sat there and was like, I don't know that I'd have to do a lot of thinking to determine what my favorite beer of 2021 would be. So I think it's a real honor. Like, it's easy to say, oh, this brewery is amazing, they do great stuff, but to call out a specific beer and for it to be that memorable, like I think that's almost even more of an accolade than saying best brewery. So cheers to that.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm very, surprised, but no, it's great. It's wonderful. Yeah. To be open 7 months, and this is my first. I was assistant head brewer at Penn before this. Is my first head brewer go to get that. It makes me feel a little better about sleeping at night and not being too worried about everything that goes in the brew house.
And I guess we should mention that you are, I think this came up when we were talking to Adam, you are the second woman to be a head brewer at a Pittsburgh brewery. So that's pretty cool too. And hopefully that number goes up and goes up quickly. Yeah.
So Katie Sullivan, who used to work at Dancing Gnome, she's going to open her own place soon called Coven Brewing. So she'll be third. And then I hired Nina from Trace. So Trace, you guys probably talked about this. They have the vocational program. I needed an assistant brewer stat. And so I ended up texting Zach and I was like, how's she doing? Is it good? And he was like, yeah, she's great. I was like, great. Can I have her early? And he was like, I think so. And so we hired her and she's doing great. And then there's CJ at Two Phrase, who's another female brewer. I mean, there's Pittsburgh stepping it up, which is nice to see. It's nice to see, more women in the production side. Makes me really happy. When I started this, it was just me and Meg. As far as I knew, and it's nice to see that, people are thinking about it and people are hiring women more, and it's great. I think it's awesome. It's good to see in Pittsburgh. It's good to see in other places too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you guys have been open 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you opened back in March of 2021. And at that point, you were just selling cans. Or did you have a tap room? You just cans, and you sold out in just over an hour and 20 minutes. All the beer. Was that surprising?
Yeah, I remember. We were getting ready to open. It was like this big to do, and we're getting everything ready, and we were taken only at that point because of COVID, and there was a line wrapped around the building, and I don't know who it was. It was like, Lauren, come look. And I walked out there and I freaked out. I was like, oh God, this is too much. I was like, oh man. And then, the line never stopped. And then in an hour and a half, we sold out. I was blown away. I had no idea. I was like, okay, it's great. And it's been pretty consistent. We're able to keep more beer in the tap room now. Thankfully, so I don't lose my mind. But last couple weeks, we've come really close to selling out of beer. So I think we had just a tiny bit before Christmas, and then we came out with 2 more beers right before New Year's, and they're almost gone. I went in the cooler to look at how many kegs we have for the tap room for this weekend, and I'm just like, oh man.
So crap, I gotta brew more beer.
This is why
I wish I could. I'm out of tanks.
Now you're on batch. What did you say? 73. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the ones that you put out right before New Year's. I mean, we're recording right after New Year's, so those didn't even almost last a week, basically.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It is. It's great. It also makes me just be like, I need more tanks.
Well, yeah,
always.
More tanks and more time would be great.
The real question is, do you have space for more tanks?
Oh, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're in a 10,000. No, sorry. Just the front of house is 10,000. We're in a 14,500 square foot building. The brew house is close to 5,000 square feet. We are not utilizing that right now. And then the tap room as it stands, we partitioned it off because we weren't going to open all that all at once. Start slow and grow. It's probably a couple thousand square feet at best. But we do have 10,000 square feet to put into a tap room. But I have a bunch of room to grow on the brew house side. So yeah, we're hoping, we're already talking about expansion. Obviously I can't keep up as it is, which is great for me. I'm like, please, bigger system, more tanks. Maybe I'll be able to take a vacation, and then and then we'll have the 10,000 square foot front of house space.
And are you the only brewer right now?
It's me and Nina. Yeah. So the crew we have right now is 4 strong. Nina and I are full time, and then I have 2 part timers that they're mostly doing helping with packaging, but we're training them up on the seller side as fast as we can, because when we do expand, I need able-bodied people. The crew is great. I love them. Out of the 3 others that work with me, so it's me, Nina, Scott, and Ryan. And Nina had some training at Trace before that. She didn't have any training. Scott and Ryan, they're fresh, it's great because I get to teach somebody else. Getting into the industry is hard, especially back of house. And there's always that question, especially when you're starting out, like, do I want to train people? And, I hate to say it, a lot of times people are like, no, because, it's easier just to hire somebody, like, all right, do this.
Right.
But it's also really great to be able to give them the opportunity and watch them, grow and learn and really get a kick out of it like I do. It's great for me. It's great for them. And yeah, they're a great team. Yeah. I love them. I'm excited to see what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to get, fresh ideas too. Otherwise, everybody just keeps doing the same old thing they learned from the person before them. So, and that's, that the Trace, the vocational program, is such a cool thing. And to see it, in action, having actually produced someone who's now working with you is pretty awesome. And it's cool to see new faces getting into the brewing world for all the reasons, but also just because new cool things will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great because they're not afraid to give me feedback, and I appreciate that because I'll just be like, taste this, or if something's not working, they'll tell me. So no, they're great, and it is really nice to be able to give people the opportunity to get involved and have a chance, because like I said, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get in,
Definitely.
So we mentioned that that you opened last March. Obvious question has to then come out. What was it like opening smack dab in what we thought was the middle of a pandemic?
It wasn't that bad, because I think things it was fine. I was very impressed to sell out and keep selling out as much as we did when we first opened. I think where we had to navigate a little bit was when they started lifting restrictions. Yeah. Because when we talked about it, we kind of had planned for, the pandemic to still be going and things still to be closed. And then they started opening things a lot faster than we had thought they would. So it was just kind of figuring out, all right, let's do can pours, make it a little tap room instead of just a to-go area, get some, some places for people to sit, nice bar. And then it was, all right, now we need to get some sort of tap system so we can do draft. So that was a little bit, when is the right time, and then also just, I think, unexpectedly being able to do that. Other than that, it hasn't been too bad. I think, things earlier in the year, everything was weird.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think I was just used to weird. I'm still used to weird.
Well, it's the new normal.
It's kind of it's a constant thing with this, which is fine. And, but I think we've done the best we can. And it's just been kind of I like flying by the seat of my pants a little bit. I think Ben also likes flying by the seat of his pants. And we're both good at making those, quick game day decisions. And I think we both thrive on that atmosphere. to just be like, yeah, let's do this. All right, get it done, kind of thing. So, yeah, it works out. But yeah, I think it was fine.
Yeah. It's really weird to hear because so many. I mean, obviously, for the last 2 years now, a lot of our conversations on the podcast have been dominated by COVID. They've been dominated by a lot of other things that have been going on in the beer world with inclusion and harassment and all that stuff as well. But we've been talking about COVID for a long time now on the podcast, and I think this is the first time where you've kind of the pivot is in reverse because so many brewers we talk to say, we had this big plan, we had this big tap room, and then a pandemic happened. And we couldn't do what we wanted to do, or we were in planning and the pandemic happened and we had to decrease our space or change our from, tap room to distribution plan. And it's just really, it's strange. Again, weird things that keep happening every day. It's the new normal to hear a business sort of pivoting in the reverse. Sort of starting with okay, we're going to operate under this COVID reality and the restrictions that come with it. And then all of a sudden being like, oh, we can do more things. Suddenly we have to pivot kind of in the opposite direction. That's a weird story that we haven't heard before.
Yeah, I think Ben and I even when Ben was talking to me back in July of last year, he was like, it's a COVID business plan. Like, this is what we're doing. And so I think, at that point we'd been in it long enough. We had seen a lot of the other breweries have to do things to close down tap room. If they didn't have packaging, they needed to get packaging really fast. Which is why we just were like, all right, we're gonna do packaging first, see where it goes, because it's way easier to keg and put a draft system in than to spend the money on a canning line, train people up, get the people going, and then try and find cans.
Yeah, that is the hard part, right?
Yeah. So I think, we were kind of prepared because we were seeing all of this coming down the pipeline as we were trying to open. So in a way we were a little bit lucky just because we had the opportunity to plan ahead. So.
Yeah. And I imagine that'll actually end up being, an advantage moving forward in that you had to sort of plan for things that a lot of breweries kind of put off for a couple of years, the packaging, the canning, the all that kind of stuff. So having been forced to make those plans already, I think will be advantageous moving forward. That's pretty weird how things shake out.
It's weird.
Are you worried about the rise in can prices? Do you guys have a plan in place to handle all of that?
No. So we do always order cans, and I have a little bit of a stock of them. And then once that stock gives me the heebie-jeebies that I'm like, okay, we got 10 canning runs left. I need to order more cans. Let's go. And we've been luckily enough to been able to have a supplier that's had cans and isn't asking us to do it like a truckload or 24 pallets or when we first started, things were really bad. We had actually talked about, should we just buy a truckload of cans, which for our size is asinine. But we were like, we don't know what to do. There's no cans, and it's worked out so far. The can prices aren't great, and you keep seeing them increase, but there's not much you can do about that. I'm hoping and I'm hopeful that will end hopefully soon. The whole shipping ordeal in out west is starting to get better. We had problems with that because the system was delayed because it was stuck on a crate out in California and they couldn't get to it. They just can't get to things. But that whole situation seems to be clearing up, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the cans get better. We just try to plan ahead, and we finally, we just happen to find a supplier that always has them. So I think it's easier for us since we are a little bit smaller. We're not asking for as much, and so it's a little easier for us to be like, I just need a pallet or 2 pallets, and they're like, okay, instead of being like, I need 10 pallets.
All right.
What does a can usually go for? I don't think I ever thought about like the per can cost.
When we first started, cans were around 10 to 12 cents a piece. and now they're closer to 20 cents a piece.
Oh wow!
I think the last time I bought cans, it was like 17 or 18 cents a piece, and that's not including the lid. You got to buy the lids too, separately. So that's like another 4 cents. I think.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Well, how many are on a pallet?
Oh gosh,
a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at a pallet. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of but like, I don't know. But that's
I think it's close to it's like 9,400 something cans in a pallet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's expensive.
Yeah.
According to Google, 7,002 is the maximum per pallet.
7,002.
Now I don't know how many ounces that is.
Gotcha.
That's a lot of cans.
It's a lot of cans on a pallet.
Yeah.
So would it be 7,000 times 16 ounces?
Mm-hmm.
You got the Google
if
up?
they're going by 16. But if you're
That's
just
true,
Googling generic cans, 12 ounces more common outside of beer.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
This is 12-ounce cans.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they can fit more 16 ounces on a pallet because you can go higher. They're thinner. So you can fit more on a row. So I do think it is 9,000 something. I mean, and the ones we get, they're super tall pallets. You can get half pallets, but then they gouge it even higher.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, the more you buy, the cheaper it is per unit.
Yep.
Well, and I think these are things that are important for us to talk about so that consumers understand why the cost of beer might be going up. Because the cost of materials and the cost of ingredients, these things continue to go up. And just like any other industry, when those things go up, then the product that we're purchasing is going to go up in price as well.
Yeah. And we all have, I mean, for a lot of as far as getting ingredients, malt, there is a little bit of a shipping delay right now.
Oh.
At least, especially starting in November, I started getting some emails from suppliers who are like, it's going to take longer than usual. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope that clears up, but we'll see. It's hard to tell.
I mean, you have I guess it's a silver lining that, like, in this circumstance, the issues with raw materials cost and supply chain disruptions are, like, widely known.
True.
Like, it's in the mainstream, like, media, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's aware that these issues exist, so, like...
Everyone's experiencing it themselves.
Yeah, it's not, like, sometimes it happens, most of the time it happens in, like, a niche single industry, and people are like, why are and you try to explain, the materials, and they, if it's like, you're totally foreign to me, I don't know what you're talking about, but, like, at least everybody knows that prices of everything are going up, so when they see increases, they're expecting it. I mean... Yeah.
I mean, you can buy you can't buy a new car right now.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And I could sell my, 2009 Honda Fit probably for like 3 times what it's worth.
Oh yeah,
because the demand for cars is so high, you just can't get one because they can't make them fast enough.
Yeah, guy I work with got a used car beginning of last year, I think it was. But he was talking to somebody, I guess, that we work with, or maybe a friend of his. But either way, had a car going into the pandemic that was like 2 years old. Paid maybe $25,000 for it. So you figure 2 years old, it's probably worth $15 at that point at most. Apparently, he sold it for $30.
Wow.
2 years after he had it, like that should have gone down like nothing. But apparently, he was able to make $5,000 off it and just bought a cheaper car after that. Like bought a used one. So he made out like a bandit on the deal because he knew somebody needed a car and he didn't need that good of a car.
And we've gotten on one of our famous, completely unrelated to beer tangents that we sometimes get on, but. Isn't a car always sort of held up as like the prime example of a bad investment in that it
immediately
depreciates?
Yeah.
So like even that is no longer true. What is going on?
True.
Everything's weird now.
Yeah.
I just wish that like I had my old truck so I could sell it for more than it was worth. I got rid of it.
I keep thinking it's too bad you leased your car.
Yeah, I could make a lot of money from my car.
You should have bought it.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep the payments low, and I don't know.
Yeah, but the problem is if you sell your car, you can't buy another one.
True. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
unless you find somebody that has a cheaper used car, I guess. You're like, I made out like a bandit. I saved $3,000.
That's true. Yeah, and then and your replacement car would be that much more expensive. So it's kind of a wash, I guess, unless you're just prepared to give it up entirely.
Nope.
Or if you own several cars.
All right, Rockefeller.
Those are the people that are making the money right now.
Those are the
It's the
people
guys
that
that
are
have
always
like
making
6
money.
cars. They're like, well, I don't need this one. We'll just get rid of it.
If you ever don't need your car, you're the 1%.
I need my car, which is why I'm not selling it.
Yeah, same.
I need my car, and I love my car.
Well, this from person.
And
I should say I don't own a car,
you don't
but
have
I don't
a car,
need
but
one.
also like depending on where you are, if you have a car, like I don't need my car during the week.
No,
because I take the bus to work, or if somebody I work with has COVID, I work from home.
I just meant more if like you could sell your car as easily as you would sell an old folding table that's been in the basement for a year.
Well, funny you should say that. One of the Paramount Plus commercials that's been on a lot is apparently you can sell your car on this app and they will literally come and take it and give you the money. They will come to you and get your car.
Is that Carvana or is this a different thing?
No, same idea, just reverse.
Just in the reverse.
Instead of you buying the car and they bring it to you like Carvana does,
right?
You sell your car on this app, agree for what they're going to pay, and then they come and get it from you.
The world is so weird right now.
Right?
I will say I appreciate the convenience of that service.
I was going to say I don't mind it.
That's cool.
The one thing COVID had was all of my favorite restaurants would deliver to me during COVID, and I was like, this is not that bad.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave the house. It's what I've always wanted, because there are days where I'm just like, I don't want to leave the house, but I really want to eat this. And they're like, oh, well, we'll bring it to you. And I'm like, this doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Well, and I love all the breweries that started shipping beer. Like that's how I was drinking Shy Bear beers. They have coffee and they have beer. Of course, I will pay your $15 shipping or whatever. Send me a box of coffee and beer. Like that was incredible. And I really hope that's something that continues to go.
Actually, now that you mention that, have we really, because we talked a lot about, like a year ago, about how great it is that everybody's delivering beer now and how we hope that sticks around. Are people still doing it? I haven't really paid attention.
I can't think of it. People are shipping, which is easier for them because they don't need drivers or anything.
Not so much the delivery.
Yeah, not the delivery, but the shipping.
The shipping is stuck.
I wish they would deliver beer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, now I got to leave the house for that again.
Well, we can get GoPuff, but the selection's not always
it's limited.
What?
GoPuff.
It's in a couple cities. It's in Philly. They'll bring you like toilet paper, ice cream, beer, and condoms.
And now they have home COVID test kits that are always sold out.
Oh, they have COVID?
Bummer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're like $25 for the pack of 2, and they're always sold out because nobody can get them.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh, well.
But yeah, GoPuff. There you go.
They should be
Another
a
sign of
sponsor.
the dystopian cyberpunk apocalypse.
They're a Philly company. It's like two
They were
Drexel
founded in
grads
Philly,
or something.
And a friend of mine
Kind of makes sense.
I like how you just
slid that
buried that.
worked with the founders.
Oh, cool.
Back in the day.
I've heard the founders
He
are
didn't
kind of
stick with the company, but
I've heard the founders are kind of broy.
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Broy.
Yeah.
It's a word.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can talk about the definition later.
Might get myself in trouble.
Yeah. So, Lauren,
I want to talk about something very interesting, Lauren, that I learned about you in researching for this episode. You are a fellow band nerd, perhaps?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
You have a doctorate in music?
I have all but dissertation. Yeah. I do. My French horn's in a case, right?
Well, that was going to be my first question. What's your primary instrument? Are you still playing?
No.
Every
now and then. I just moved into this house, but when I lived in my old house, there was a guy that I used to play gigs with that lived down the way, a couple houses down, and he would play with his windows open sometimes, and then I would whip mine out just to mess with him every now and then. But other than that, no. I mean, it's tough. Playing a brass instrument, your face muscles have to be so in shape to play for a long time. It's like being a bodybuilder and then being like, I'm going to take 2 years off, and now I'm going to go, binge something. And it doesn't work. You can binge like one thing, you're like, oh God, I'm tired. No, I don't really. I play electric bass more than I do the horn now. The bass was like the fun thing. Honestly, it was the instrument I wanted to play, but my parents wouldn't let me because they're like, that's not a real instrument. And then when I turned 20, I was like, that's way easier to play, and I don't have to practice all the time. The horn and I, we had a good run. We had a really long run of constant seeing each other and give and take, and I think that relationship has ended for the most part.
How long? So I played trumpet from 4th grade to basically 12th. Like I stopped right at senior year. Did you continue after?
Well, she has a doctorate, so that.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes.
Yeah.
But so did you continue after getting the doctorate or anything like that?
Yeah, I did for a while. I did. I actually taught horn at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. Say that 5 times fast. So I taught horn there while I was finishing my degree. And the reason I moved to Pittsburgh was not to play in the symphony, but I actually worked for the symphony. I managed the pops. I managed the pops and the classical programs for a little bit, and then switched to all pops, and realized that music was not what I wanted to do. And it was my wife that was like, "Why don't you go work for a brewery again? You were so happy." I used to work at Sun King Brewing in Indianapolis when I was working on my doctorate as well. And she was like, "Why don't you do that?" And I was like, "That would rock." Okay. Thanks, wife, for letting me quit my job and work way up to be a brewer. It worked out though.
Yeah.
I mean,
seems like it did. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out. No, I'm super happy now. I love what I do. I don't see myself doing anything else. The music thing, it's complicated. You know, when you have parents that are pushing you to do something, and then it's like what you do, and then you're like, yeah, this is great, until you're like, no, I'm really burnt out.
Yeah.
No, it's fun. I probably will never get rid of my horn. I love that thing. I look at it sometimes. I'm like, hi, sorry. Oil the valve. Sorry, I'm sticky. Yeah, I did it for a long time. So I did it I started in 5th grade, and then until about 6-7 years ago. So I'm not going to give away my age.
Fair enough.
No.
But for like 20 something years, I played French horn.
Wow.
This is 30 years that I've been playing the flute. This year marks 30 years.
Wow.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'd have to do math. Like, how old are people when you're in 5th grade? 10?
Give or take, yeah. 10
or
11?
10. So
10,
yeah. I mean, I was just going to say I'm going to be 40
math.
this year. I'll just tell you. I mean, whatever.
That's true. Oh my God, yeah.
I'm going to be 40 this year.
Yeah, I did it for 25 years.
Wow. Well, it's
and then I called it quits.
It's great that you're, ended up doing something you're super passionate about.
Right.
I know the music was important to you, but the fact that you were able to get back to what you really wanted to do and are successful and happy with it is awesome.
An interesting comparison, though, to perhaps your previous career and current career. Like for me, I think the reason I've been able to still play the flute is because I removed myself from those high pressure groups that I was playing in. Like I got to a point where I was over auditioning and perfection, and I made it a goal to only perform in groups that were for the fun of it, people that between songs we were joking around and playing, and when it was time to perform, we performed, and it was low stress. So I feel like the fun and the creativity was still part of it, where sometimes when you are being paid to do good gigs or you're auditioning for certain things, it's more about the perfection, and like the joy of it sort of gets stripped out of it. It kind of with brewing, this role at Necromancer is very new, and you're able to be super creative, and like your artistic side, I'm sure, is just glowing with the beers that you're coming up with. Is there, and I thought about this myself when I was, do I quit my job and make brewing full-time or not? Like at what point does it go from being fun and joyous to, like you mentioned before, brewing the same 6 beers all the time, and it doesn't become fun anymore? Do you think that this gig, what Necromancer is all about, is going to allow you to keep that joy and the creativity?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I love the work too. I mean, I like having an active job. I like being physical. I like the science, and beer does kind of keep you on your feet, whether or not you're being creative, making recipes, doing that sort of thing. It does allow you to be on your feet because, every beer is different. Everything ferments different. You're trying to figure out, what is this yeast going to do? What is this beer going to do? And then figuring out how stuff relates to each other. for me, there's always so much to learn and so much to do. Even when I was working at other breweries where we were just making the same things over and over, it was always a chance for me to just, try to make it my best. And I love the work and, seeing how yeast work and, learning about it and trying to make it better. And yeah, I don't think it'll ever get that way. Having done this a long time and having done the music thing a long time, yeah, the perfection thing, that'll wear you down. It wears lots of people down, and then it doesn't become fun. But beer, it's just constantly evolving, and there's always just, you're doing the same. It's like practicing. You're doing the same stuff, but it's kind of up to you, I guess, to make it interesting in that respect. And then, I mean, there is the perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. I want the beer to be awesome. I don't want customers leaving me bad reviews. So there's that. But that's always a way to make it better. Like, say I get somebody says this about this beer. I taste a beer, which is pretty much all my beers. And I'm like, all right, well, how can we make that better? And I don't think that ever stops. At least it hasn't yet for me. Like, I'm always trying to figure out how to make it better. Our hazy IPAs have gone through so many renditions of me trying to figure out how to make it the way I want to make it. And how, for me, if it's good, I'll take it home and I'll drink it. If it's not up to my good, I won't. Our hazy IPAs I will finally take home and drink. And it's just that part is always fun to figure out and be like, all right, well, I made this stout, but how do I make it more like this? And then, I don't think that's something that'll ever, if you get to the point where you think you figured it out, well, that might just be you, but I think it's what you make out of it, and you can always find something to improve or something to change. Having the flexibility to do that is great. It's nice. Being a head brewer is nice, because then I can be like, all right, I didn't like this, I want to change it. Whereas in some of my other positions, it was like, I don't like this, I want to change it, and they're like, nope. Yeah. You can give input, but it's not your beer. Yeah. So yeah, that part's great. And yeah, I really like the job. I just don't, when I was working at Sun King, I did not want to go into music anymore. The reason I did is because I got my degrees in it and I got a job teaching, and I was like, all right, we're going to do this. This is what you should do. If I could have stayed at that job, I would have stayed at it. And I wasn't doing much at Sun King. I was cleaning kegs, cleaning parts, running tap room, filling kegs, that kind of stuff. But I still was just eating it up. So I think it depends on what you want to do. And yeah. But yeah, I think there's creative outlets in both. I think there's a bunch of sciencey, nerdy stuff in both, which is fun. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it.
Well, what are some beers that are either perhaps in the tanks right now, or maybe just floating around in your mind? What are some things that are going to be coming up at Necromancer?
So we have a Franconian rot beer, which I'm really pumped about.
Oh.
So if you know my background, I worked at Penn Brewery, which Penn Brewery is a lager brewery. So I got really into lagers. I love lagers. I love drinking them. I love making them. I love figuring out like what makes them tick and what like makes a lager really good. Because like you can have a lager and you're like, yeah, that's great, but there's not a lot to it sometimes. And then you can have a lager that you drink, and you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. It's just figuring out what to do with those. So for people who don't know what a Franconian rot beer is, it's like a red lager that we put in the tank 2 weeks ago, and we'll let it. I'm about to start lagering it now. I just checked her today, and she's doing real nice. Tastes really good. I'm pumped. What else we have? We have pre-mail in the tank. We got a porter in the tank, and then we also have a Zwart beer in the tank, which is. So if you've ever had New Belgium's 1554, that's a Zwart beer. So essentially, it's a Flemish black ale. I say ale like this because it's like a hybrid. So it's kind of like a Kolsch, but a dark Kolsch, darker Kolsch, but with a little bit more Belgian-y malt in there. So like we threw biscuit in ours and some other stuff. So that's in the tanks. And then coming up, it's all over the map. We have, you know, if you want we have a lot of traditional stuff. You know, we're trying, I think, to hone in on what like our categories are and getting, you know, making sure that we have kind of a cohesiveness to it. So we have the kind of the old school IPAs. Those are going to keep coming around, which makes me happy because I like drinking them. And then we, of course, are going to have resurrections. We have a couple planned. I've got a Coit beer planned, which is like an oat wheat beer. That's not with like any sort of funky yeast, just straight up clean yeast. And then a whole bunch of others. We're going to do a Pennsylvania Swanky, which I'm kind of interested to figure out. Yeah, it's like a dark mild with licorice. I don't know what it is with people. Way back when, putting licorice in their dark mild. What are you doing? It'll be fine. Just don't put that in there. Dark milds are great.
There was a time in the past that I'm glad we're no longer in where licorice was all that passed for candy.
I like licorice candy. I don't want licorice in my beer unless it's what's that Bell's beer? Expedition Stout. I will drink that. That is a good beer.
I don't know if I've had that.
No, I've had that. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it's got licorice in it, but just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't like a lot, but a little I can.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah.
So the Swanky, I'm going to try and fool with it a bit so we don't have to put licorice in it. I was researching hops, and there are these hops from Poland. What are they called? It starts with an M, Miranka or something, that give off licorice notes.
Cool.
So we're going to toss those in there and hope for the best. I really don't want to put licorice in it. I don't want to. Licorice can be a little bit, especially if you use like anise. Like it can be hard to work with. Like you can really over the top it. And it's the whole Reinheitsgebot crap that I did at Penn, and just, you know, I'm old school, so I'm like, we can make it taste like that without putting stuff in it. So we're gonna figure it out. So we got that on there, and plus it's kind of nice to have a resurrection that has Pennsylvania in the name.
Yeah,
I'm sure people will be pretty pumped about that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming up. It's crazy. You know, and then we've got some pastry stouts and all that stuff. Oh, we're doing a collab with Trace in a couple weeks, which I'm pumped about. We're going to be doing a Lichtensteiner, which is a smoked sour.
Oh.
That'll be fun. But we're going to futz with it a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think just a plain old smoked sour, people are going to look at that and be like, nope.
I think there's one at Shy Bear.
Was it?
I know Crime and Punishment does one already.
Oh,
is it
yeah.
Ollie?
Yeah.
Workhorse had one.
Ollie from Free Will, wasn't that a smoked sour? Or am I thinking of something else?
May have been. There's actually a few breweries that have.
Because as soon as you said smoked sour, I thought of Free Will, and I feel like I've had one from them.
I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah, it seems like something they would.
And
do.
I keep thinking Ollie, but I don't know if that's the one.
No, Ollie is not. That's a dark.
No.
That's a strong dark. I don't. Is it a quad or I don't know. I could Google this, but that involves typing.
People are picky about the smokies.
Yeah,
at least in our neck of the woods. We made a Grzycki, and it was interesting to see like how many people were like, "This is great, okay," and some people were like, "This is awful," and I'm like, "It's actually not."
Well, and I think that's the kind of beer you have to be careful with your expectations, though, because when you see words like sour or smoky or wheat, or like you get these misconceptions in your head, and some of these styles don't fit what you think about when you hear and smoked beers as a whole. There's such a range. There's like the ones that taste like cherry cough syrup, and the ones that taste like bacon, the ones that taste like a campfire, and then the ones where it's just this gorgeous subtle like hint of smoke. There's actually a brewery in Santa Fe, New Mexico that does all smoked beers.
That's
and
awesome.
I've done a flight of beer there, 8-10 beers, and every one of them was extremely different. And so it's just.
Did you when you do a flight like that, did you have like a palate cleanser? Because I feel like a bunch of smoked beers you'd have to wash out with something in between.
No, but they knew how to put them in tasting order.
Right, that makes sense.
I mean, they obviously, if you're going to do all smoked beers,
just do a shot of Fernet in between each.
Yeah.
But not every smoked beer tastes like Schlenkerla.
That's
true.
I
mean,
yeah, fair. They're subtle to Schlenkerla. That's the scale.
It's very small.
Yeah, true.
It's one of those where like you just a touch and it just ramps up.
Yeah, basically.
Oh yeah. I put these little extra kernels of malt in there.
Yeah.
That's well. You said about even working with things like lavender,
Mhm.
like the scale, like you can just one more. Nope. It's
Yep.
so.
You're like, oh great,
subtle.
this tastes like soap. Awesome.
It's like ooh, herbal, delightful, soapy, perfumey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, dare I ask? Should we play a game? Is it time? Should we do it?
Do you want to play a game?
I think we should do
I
it.
think we should play a
I
game.
like
We can
games.
play a game. Let's play a game.
Totally down.
Did you know that Adam tried to record his interview with us from Necromancer and he couldn't?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
He couldn't connect to the internet. The internet wasn't working, so we actually started the interview with him in his car driving home from Necromancer.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I had no idea. Really?
Yeah.
Actually, that's because there was a point before you hopped on the call where we were like, well, I hope she's not at Necromancer because the Wi-Fi there wasn't good last time. But then we thought
I think our we upped our Wi-Fi since then.
Well, I was going to say you
Not sure when he
probably.
was there. There was a moment where we were like, "This is not working. We need better Wi-Fi." So we did get better front of house Wi-Fi.
I was going to say we also assumed that you would have access to like the good business
Right.
internet and not like the public.
My head came-
One would hope.
One would
you know,
hope.
If your head brewer doesn't have access, I'd be like, "Ben." He's always making fun of the way. Do I say Ben weird? Because he's always saying he's like he's like, say my name. I think he does it just to ruffle my feathers. But he's always like, you're always like Ben, and I'm like, I don't say Ben, I say Ben.
Yeah, it sounds normal to
Okay,
me.
cool.
You're,
All
you're
right.
talking to people that grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't sound. I think maybe your
I grew up in
vowel.
Florida. I don't know.
Well, that'll do it. I was going to say you
Apparently,
might.
we really talk weird though. People from
That's
Eastern
true.
Pennsylvania, we get made fun of a lot.
Water.
Really?
Wood.
You guys
Water.
seem fine. Water?
Water.
Water?
Water.
Water?
I legit one time was at a
that's
what was the
right.
brewery? I was in Olympia, Washington, and I asked for water, and the woman could not understand what I was asking for. And I said,
You just said
H2O.
water.
I said H2O, and she said, "Oh." She said, "I thought you wanted to place an order." I was like,
Water.
That's great.
yeah.
I think you say water fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, the only one of us who doesn't is.
Water.
Well, yeah, you tried. You tried
Water.
to say it that way.
Water. I don't say water. I say water.
You say wooder.
I do say wooder.
Wooder.
I still know what you're talking about.
Not water. Yeah.
Yeah, water.
Water. Water.
It sounds weird hearing you say it right.
Water. Yeah, because I don't.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
I won't admit all the other words I say weird.
And pinata.
Empanada.
Whatever. I added a tilde.
Long running inside joke. Probably should have died years ago.
It's not an inside joke. It's the two of you making fun of the way I talk.
Yeah.
That counts as an inside joke.
Fair enough. Are we ready?
Yeah.
I believe so.
All right. Cheers, Internet, and welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the podcast trivia segment that can always pause to grab a beer. We are joined today by Lauren Hughes, head brewer
Hello.
at Necromancer. No, feel free, chime in. Head brewer at Necromancer Brewing in Pittsburgh, who will be battling it out against my co-hosts Dan and Steph in a fierce competition with absolutely no reward that we call Happy Fun Time Games. And today's game is There's Weird in My Beer.
Ooh.
So this is a game where I'm going to tell you a little bit about a beer that has a bizarre, strange, unusual ingredient in it, fitting that we talked about the Reinheitsgebot earlier. And you have to guess from 3 multiple choice options what the weird is in each beer. And we're going to begin, as we most often do, to my left, with Dan, our first beer of the game.
Pretzels.
This is not a pretzels. This is not a pretzels joke this time. Or is it? Kicking around in some form or another since 2010, our first beer is a cream ale from Schwartz Brewing that features sweet whipped cream flavors complemented by the toasted character brought by a certain ingredient. Is it pistachios, Pop-Tarts, or pretzels?
God damn it. But what kind of Pop-Tarts? There's like
TBD.
700 varieties.
TBD.
Pistachios.
saying
I'm gonna say
All right,
pistachios.
Dan is saying pistachios. Steph?
I would drink a pistachio cream ale. That sounds amazing. I think it's Pop-Tarts.
All right, going
What
with
kind?
Dan is really
We're
obsessed
gonna
with what kind
find
of
out.
Pop-Tarts. All right, we got pistachios, Pop-Tarts, or pretzels. Lauren, what do you think it is?
I think it's pistachios.
Oh, 2 for pistachios, and both are correct.
Yes.
Because it was, in fact, pistachios. Yes, brewed by Michigan's Short Brewing Company for Beer Advocates Extreme Beer Fest. It's called Pistachio Cream Ale. Pretty simple. A toasty golden ale brewed with pistachios. The brewer says it creates a wonderful complexity of flavors and a sense of fullness uncommon to lighter golden ales. I agree. I would try that too. It sounds pretty good.
I'm gonna move my. Don't mind me. I have to plug my computer in.
No, go for it.
Wait. I gotta go to the other side of the room. Technology, man, great. Especially when I have this room that only has like 2 plugs.
Well, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
like that
we'll
with
figure it
rooms.
out. All right, give me 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
This is going to be fun because the video is going to be her in one part of the room, and then all of a sudden she'll be in a different part of the room. See if anyone notices when they watch the video. Yeah, if they ever get posted on YouTube.
If they
that
ever
is.
get posted, yeah. I am super far behind on that. But I at least get a picture of the guest out of the video for the
Oh, touche.
episode, so it's still useful. All right. Nope. Well, you appear to now have electricity at the cost of having no internet connection. You've gotten very jumpy. We can't hear you. Choppy would be a better term, I guess.
Jumpy, choppy.
Jumpy, choppy. Uh-oh.
Chumpy?
Chumpy.
Is that like broy?
Jumpy?
Say chumpy?
Is that like bro?
That's what I thought you said.
No,
Chumpy.
jumpy. Jumpy versus choppy.
Lauren has frozen.
Well, choppy and jumpy would be chompy.
Chumpy. Chompy.
We've lost our guest and we've lost our minds.
We're getting about 2 frames a second from Lauren right now. I don't know what happened. All she did was go to the other side of the room.
Yeah, that's weird.
The other side of the what?
Room.
That's another word. We
Room.
Room.
Wool.
Dana likes to make fun of me for saying a while.
Wool. Like saying wool.
Oh, I had
or-
to kick that one
well.
out of my vocabulary early.
Oh,
I
the
see.
first time I realized that was weird was when I was working with a guy from Texas, and I was like, "Yeah, just do this a while," and he was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "In the meantime."
Yeah, somebody in Jersey called me out and was like, that's a regional thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was regional until then. I mean, that was a long time ago. That
I
day,
still say it.
That day, I learned.
Well, you're still in the region where people
Yeah.
say it all the time.
All right, Lauren's lighting
True.
is changing. However, the connection does not appear to be improving. Challenger one, come in. Oh, I shouldn't have picked Challenger. That was a bad one to pick.
No.
It was random. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Bad choice.
Jeez.
I apologize to everyone who's offended. Nope. I feel like we're looking into the past. Like everything we're seeing from Lauren right now actually happened like 2 minutes ago. It's so slow. Wait, is it improving? Seems to be getting a little quicker.
It almost feels like a stop motion video.
Yeah, it's kind of disorienting. This right here is how I would visually convey drunk in video. Smearing choppy video.
Yeah,
I don't know
we
what-
can use this for something.
I don't know.
Video outtake.
Yeah? That's not a bad idea. We can
Instead
do
of
that.
last call.
We have the technology. Oh, speaking of, when I was editing the last call with Adam, was there a feedback echo of us in the main
Probably
podcast?
a little.
Like enough that it was like super noticeable? Because what I actually had to do was move the Zoom call in the timeline to align, because we were getting, you and I were getting echoed back in the call on like a second delay.
Yeah, I don't think it was. It might have been there a little bit, but not.
Something must have happened at the end. Something got weird in last call.
Lauren, you look normal again.
Oh, I think we may. Houston?
I do?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can't see anybody, but I can hear everything you guys are saying.
Oh boy.
You'd think plugging the computer in would be helpful.
Can die in a fire. You think so? Goodness gracious. This thing can die in a fire. All right. You guys can hear me.
We can hear you. We can see you. I think your audio's like a quarter of a second out of a sync, but that's okay. We could live with it.
Yeah.
Out of
It's workable. It's workable.
Out of sync. Did I say a sync? It's out of the sync. It came out of the sink. It
a
exploded.
kitchen sink.
Moving on to beer number 2. Finally. And Steph, I
That
think
deserves another drink.
Yeah. Steph, you're up to guess first on this one. Next, we're heading to the Netherlands, where De Molen's Brewery offers a unique, earthy, and hoppier than usual saison. That extra hop character comes from a jumpy ingredient. Is it rabbits, frogs, or grasshoppers?
Oh.
Well,
Wouldn't brewing with grasshoppers, wouldn't that be bad luck? No, that's praying mantises that are good luck, right?
Yes.
Praying manti?
mantis.
Mantises?
Mantis.
Mantises?
Mantrix?
I'll say grasshoppers.
Steph is going with the grasshoppers. Lauren, rabbits, frogs, or grasshoppers?
I don't think grasshoppers live in the Netherlands, so I'm going with rabbits.
Oh, that's a good point.
Isn't it too cold for bugs there?
Interesting. Too cold for bugs.
It's
No
cold
bugs
there,
of any
right?
kind
That's-
can survive in the
Oh.
Netherlands.
I mean, I feel like you could order
Famously.
them on Amazon, though.
True.
Can't you order, like, dried grasshoppers on
Yeah,
Amazon?
pineapples probably don't grow there either, but they probably have them in the grocery store.
I prefer locally sourced grasshoppers.
All right. Yeah.
Crap, that's a good point. Oh shit, I gotta say rabbit now.
All right, so Dan and Lauren both going with rabbits. It was, in fact, grasshoppers.
Damn it!
They can get them in the Netherlands.
Ah, well.
Yes. It was made for the 7th annual Buref's Beer Festival, which is a beer fest hosted by the brewery since 2009. De Molen's, the brewery, brought their grasshopper saison. Certainly a unique ingredient, and they are keen to note that the beer is not vegetarian, obviously.
Go fig.
Also, maybe not such a good idea, because it seems the grasshoppers may kill the head retention. A lack of head retention was noted in several reviews. One reviewer went on to add that it had a murky, dirty, yellow-green color, a medicinal aroma, and a taste reminiscent of potpourri, calling it quite a vile beer and basically a waste of good grasshoppers.
Wow.
So there you go. That one was, in fact, grasshoppers. On to our penultimate beer of the game, and we come to Lauren to guess first on this one. Next up, this is another beer made for the Extreme Beer Fest in Boston. This one is a light and pleasantly tart Berliner Weiss brewed by New Hampshire's Throwback Brewery. A refreshing change of pace from the fest's endless array of stouts and barley wines, this brew is made with a certain fruit addition. Is it peaches, grapes, or apples? It's a pleasant one here for the grasshoppers.
It's a palate cleanser.
Peaches?
Going with peaches, they come from a can. Dan?
I was wondering who would be the first to say it.
They were put there by a man.
In a factory downtown.
Thank you.
This is the most quoted
I had
song
my
on
little
this
way.
podcast.
I think so.
I
Eat
I
peaches
drink
every day.
peaches every
Drink
day?
peaches every day.
Drink peaches every day.
Can you read the description and the answers again?
Holy shit, we only have so much time. It's a light and pleasantly tart Berliner Weiss brewed by New Hampshire's Throwback Brewery. A refreshing change of pace from the Extreme Beer Fest's endless array of stouts and barley wines. This brew is made with a certain fruit addition. Actually, not a whole lot of info there. Your options are peaches, grapes, or apples.
I'm gonna say apples.
All right, going with apples. So we've got one for peaches.
Then I will
one
say
for-
grapes.
Oh,
All right, Steph going with the unchosen choice, and it pays off because it was, in fact, grapes.
All right.
The beer is called The Grape Beyond.
Oh, okay.
And is brewed with local New Hampshire grapes. Throwback co-founders Annette Lee and Nicole Carrier, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, added a few quarts of grape juice during secondary fermentation to bring out the sourness of the grape, and added a touch of chocolate malt to add a nice mahogany tint to the beer. It was, in fact, great. So we're coming up on the final beer of the game, so we're going to add up the scores real quick. This will determine the order of operations for our final question. Steph, out in front with 2 points so far, and immediately behind her, Dan and Lauren, each with 1 point apiece. We can hope for a tie, maybe even a German Sparkle Party. Who knows? I don't want to jinx it. Our final beer of the game, we're going to make Steph guess first because she's in the lead, and then we'll go to Lauren and Dan. Our final beer, headed by former New Belgium brewer Peter Bokart, Purpose Brewing and Cellars has crafted quite the lineup of rather imaginative beers. One of these is a Belgian saison made with red beets and hibiscus flowers.
Ooh.
It is also dry hopped with a certain very delicate ingredient. Is it grasshoppers, red roses, or bird's nest?
Oh.
What? Why would you come up with that? I feel like it has to be that, because where in your psychotic mind would you come up with that possible answer?
You've known him his entire life.
I have.
Are you saying bird's nest? Is that what we're
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Lauren, what do you think?
Roses.
Going with the roses, and finally Dan.
That was my gut instinct too, is roses.
We're painting the roses red. We're painting the roses red because we have a German Sparkle Party. Red roses was the right answer. Hold on, we're not.
Okay.
Almost. The Belgian-born and aforementioned Bokart, who helped New Belgium introduce sour beers to America, has dared to be different at Purpose Brewing and Cellars, his Fort Collins brewery. They've experimented with all sorts of ingredients and barrels and rotated in new brews weekly. One of these is called A Dozen Roses, a ruby pink saison dry hopped with whole red roses and rosebuds. Painting the roses red. Yes, everybody has 2 points. We have a German Sparkle Party.
I like German Sparkle Party.
2 to 2 to 2 to 2.
Party.
A three-way tie.
Because you made me turn it down one. You know what? One more.
I like German Sparkle Party.
Everybody wins. Everybody loses. However you want to look at it. It didn't play that time.
I didn't hit it.
I thought you hit that.
That worries me because I was like back here. There's like 6 inches between my finger and the iPad.
I don't know.
Bird's
You get 2
nest?
points. You get 2 points. You get 2 points.
Bird's nest?
There are too many variables with birds' nests.
It's delicate.
But there are variables, different kinds of wood that might be used, or like if they got pieces of newspaper in there.
You know,
Oh, I know all of this. I just can't believe that's what he put in the options.
I can only come up with so many ideas, you know? Well, regardless of your thoughts about the inner workings of my psyche, thank you all for playing. Everybody wins. As I said, if you're watching, thank you for watching. Do the things. But this is the part of the podcast where we shout out to our most generous patrons on Patreon. We would like to thank the following individuals by name. Jen McDonald.
I wear women's clothing.
PA Brew Review.
I'm teaching you a little type anus.
Eric Dixon.
Too damn delicious.
Dana.
Oh, that was the wrong knob.
Yes, it was. James Lamberg.
Oh.
Chris Mahoney.
Who wants a fresh tickle?
Sean Sullivan.
Just an innocent man at a bar eating pickles.
Speaking of tuna sauce, there he is. Jill Chivers.
Steph, why are you the worst?
That's not what I wanted to hit. I'm sorry. I didn't think I still had that sound clip because it's not my favorite by a long shot.
The one and only, that's no baloney and definitely not the worst. Joe Mansell.
It's got a hair at Dutch.
Topher Simmons.
Dan, right?
That's my favorite. It's Dan, right?
Dan, right?
And finally, Ben Mengel.
I love games.
So do I. If you want to find out how you can get on this list and all the other cool behind-the-scenes perks that come along with being a patron, go to patreon.com/beerbusters and become a patron. Why not?
Why not?
But for now, let's pay our tab.
Say, Yvonne, remember when I said I'd have to send away to NASA to calculate your bar tab?
Oh, yeah. We all had a good laugh, Mo.
The results came back today. You owe me $70 billion.
You ever search for something online and immediately after you hit enter, you think, oh God, I hope nobody sees what I just searched?
That's why you need a VPN. Or maybe look at it this way. You know how uncomfortable it is when you use a public bathroom but the door doesn't lock all the way? And you think, oh God, at any second, anyone can burst in here and see my private business. Well, ExpressVPN is going to be the lock on the door that never fails you. They are consistently ranked as the number one VPN in the world. They're the fastest and the most secure and the easiest to use for VPNs. VPNs are just going to protect everything that you do online. Nobody's going to see your credit card information. Nobody's going to see your searches on WebMD for that weird rash that showed up on your foot. All of it is going to be secure. Added benefits are you can stream content from anywhere in the world. You want to watch something from the German Netflix library? Go ahead. You want to watch some British football, soccer, whatever you want to call it? You can do that too. You know those geo-restricted videos on YouTube? Oh, this is not available in your region. Not anymore. You get the last laugh. It's easy to use. It runs in the background on your computer, your phone, your tablet. It only takes one click to run. And remember, they are the number one VPN in the world. It's secure. It's anonymous. Nobody is going to see what you are doing. And all of your information is safe. If you want to see what all of the hubbub is about for a VPN, there's no better way to go than ExpressVPN. And this is why you need to go to tryexpressvpn.com/beerbusters. And when you sign up for a 1-year package through that website, you're going to get 3 months free. That's right. 1 year turns into 15 months. Again, that is tryexpressvpn.com/beerbusters. Protect your searches, transactions, and protect yourself. tryexpressvpn.com/beerbusters.
So, Lauren, I'm curious, what kind of music are you guys pumping in the brew house on brew days?
It depends. I listen to a lot of indie rock. I listen to a lot of indie rock. I listen to a lot of indie R&B. It depends on if we're trying to jazz ourselves up. Or if I'm just like, I need to like ease into the day. It just depends. I usually throw on the indie mix on Spotify, or if Nina's got stuff, she'll play stuff. Scott really likes to listen to like alternative rock, old school, like 90s.
Oh, that's the best time for alternative rock.
Yeah, we'll listen to that.
Can
Sometimes
you tell
we'll
when we all grew up?
Yeah. We'll listen to some hip hop, but I think Scott's usually has the most like going music, and then after a while I think the rest of us are like, all right, let's cool it down. Yeah, I'm really into like Phoebe Bridgers and Lucy Dacus and all those sad songs.
All the sad songs.
All the sad reflective music.
Introspective.
But I'll pep it up. Sometimes I listen to like the Strokes and stuff to get going. Or hip hop. I'll put on like Beyonce or the whole Insecure soundtrack. I don't know if you guys watch Insecure on HBO.
I don't.
Awesome show. Really awesome soundtrack. I'll put that on. And then there's like this kind of chill R&B hip hop mix that I used to that I actually stole from one of the other brewers when I worked at Rock Bottom. His name was Evan, and I just stole that. We would put that on to like ease into the day, and it's a good playlist.
Nice.
Yeah, all over the map. I used to listen to a lot of metal, but I find metal in the brew house sometimes stresses me out a little bit. Yeah, everything's loud in there, and when you have somebody just screaming stuff, it's just not the right vibe, I don't think.
Yeah, no,
for me. Like if I listen to metal, I need to be like in the right mood and not trying to work.
Trying to be constructive, not destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Unless I'm like really pissed off and throwing things, then I might.
Yeah.
This sucks. Yeah.
I feel like that would be a really cool thing for brewers to share their playlists that they listen to.
That would be a cool thing.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I know some brewers do listen to podcasts. Shout out to Poor Mans, who usually listens to us. Who, by the way, had like 8 lagers on tap the other week. Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers to Poor Mans. Yep. But are they as good as Hams?
Oof.
When we had those guys on the last time, they consumed an entire case of Hams.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. How many of them were?
Three
of
them?
But only 2 of them were together.
No, it was only 2 of them because they were in 2 different locations.
Yeah, 2 of them were together, and then the other one was off
So
to the
2
side.
people
Yeah.
drank an entire case. Like the 30-pack case?
Yeah, 30.
of hams?
Yeah.
Yep.
So they had 15 beers in like 2 hours?
Yep.
Well, to be fair, I think they started before we did, and it was also one of those nights where we were recording for quite a while.
True.
That was a long
That's
episode.
like,
And it was-
still, that's
That's
like me in college, man. That hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, I have
Right?
like
Once
3
once
now,
the
and
20s went by,
Yep.
the whole like
Yeah.
drinking 15. I used to be like, I can drink 15 beers, I'll drink you at the table.
Yeah.
And then 30 happened, and my body was like, the fuck
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, exactly.
You will not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta love those hams cubes, though.
Hey, they're
For a
cheap
while,
and
you
they're
couldn't get
effective.
them, and they're great. I like hams. I do like hams. I think hams is great. I used to be a big fan of hams when I lived in Indiana because everybody was like, PBR is the best beer ever, and I was like,
Nah.
I like hams, and then I found out that they're actually the same beer, and I was like, no, they're not. And then we did a side by side, and I talked to one of the brewers at Miller, and they were like, no, it's the same beer. And
Oh,
I was
really?
like, oh, you can look, if you take I don't know if that's the way it is now, because so Pabst used to be contract brewed by Miller, and Miller makes hams now. Pabst is no longer contract brewed by Miller. They're contract brewed actually up in Latrobe at City Brewing. But for a while, you could like literally turn the cans over of a Pabst and a PBR, and they would have the same lot code on them.
Oh, wow.
Because it's the same beer.
Huh. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yep.
Huh.
I haven't had a PBR in a while. I need to get some now that it's brewed up in Latrobe and see
Yeah.
if it's any different.
It's different. Oh.
I had one the other night. It's a good go-to.
How about that?
It's reliable. It's
Yeah.
cheap.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Hams is cheaper, and it used to be the same thing, which is why I was like, I'm just going to get the hams.
Right. Yeah. I had
can
no
get
idea about
30
that.
of them for
Yeah.
$10.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. And then, for Pabst, you'd be like, well, I can get 15 for $10. You're like, nah. Get the hams. But now I don't know if they're the same. But hams is still the same because it's still brewed by Miller.
Yeah.
Still hams.
Should do a side-by-side and see if they taste enough alike.
Mm-hmm. I'd be
I
down
feel
with
like
that.
we need Lauren and the guys from Poor Man's though to do this.
I
We
agree.
need experts.
Yes. The true connoisseurs.
What's funny is I was doing that when I was getting one of my brewing certificates. I was in University of Medicine, and a bunch of us found this out, and we were in the evenings, we were inebriated most of the time. And I was like, fuck this. We're going to go and get some hams and some PBR. We're going to do a side by side. We did it. And I was like, I am wrong. Me and
Admit defeat.
4 other brewers that were, it was all for science. We were doing this really, intensive brewing course. And the highlight was, let's taste hams and PBR side by side and see if they actually are the same beer.
Wow.
They are. I was disappointed.
So if people want to learn more about Necromancer, where can they go on the internet, Lauren?
They can go to necromancer.beer. They can follow us on Instagram at Necromancer Brewing. We don't have a TikTok.
Yes.
If they want to follow me, it's Little Low PGH. I don't have a TikTok that I post on. I just do it to watch stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much all. And Facebook, obviously. We're more active on Instagram than we are on Facebook.
Cool.
We try to do both, but sometimes things get lost in the mix.
Instagram is where the engagement is at, is what I've been told.
That's what it seems like.
When you just have that button, you go like this, and then it automatically posts everything to Facebook.
Oh, true.
And you don't even
Yeah.
ever have to go on Facebook again.
That's right, because Meta owns them both.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that hurt to say.
Oh boy.
So what I wanted to ask earlier, and then we got on a bunch of tangents like we're, want to do. Past couple episodes, we've had breweries that were on that were part of leading the charge for inclusivity, and it's such a wonderful thing. And I wanted to bring it up quickly before we, ended the show, because you guys had done Brave Noise variation. I guess what is the right term? You participated in Brave Noise.
Yep.
So what?
We did.
What was your contribution to that? What style was it? I guess what are the details?
So for Brave Noise, they ask you to brew a pail.
Okay.
They give you a recipe you can use, and you can kind of do with it what you want. I don't think you have to use their recipe. We used most of their recipe. I changed some things a little bit, but it was a pail with Sabro and Mosaic hops. It was fun. We threw a big party to kind of get more donations. I was going to use, so there's a LGBTQ organization called the Prasad Center that I initially wanted to give proceeds to. We couldn't though, because since they do alcohol addiction support, it didn't really work out. They can't really accept stuff that way. And it just didn't, which was a bummer. But so I ended up, we ended up giving it to the Diversity Council, the Pittsburgh Brewery Diversity Council. It seemed to be the best fit since the Diversity Council is doing the things that need to be done to make change in the tap rooms, in back of house. It's the one organization in Pittsburgh that kind of encompasses everything that Brave Noise is trying to achieve. And so we threw a big party and had proceeds go to there. We made these sweatshirts, and all the proceeds of the sweatshirts went to the council. It was great. It was a really fun project to do. It was great to see the turnout. The beer sold really quickly. The sweatshirts sold out in a day, which was dope. Yeah, it was a really good project. I mean, the one thing at Necro, which I'm super proud of, is, diversity and inclusion is something that's really on the forefront of all of our practices, whether it's hiring or tap room or just all aspects of the business. It's nice to have an owner that is like-minded in the sense that, I can say this is something that's important to me. It's important to him. It's important for the business, which a lot of breweries, you don't have that. And it was, for Brave Noise, you have to put your code of conduct on the internet. It has to be front and center, which I know is a point of discretion for some breweries. And it was nice to be able to go to Ben and just be like, this is something I want to do. Can we, post this? And he was all on board. So it was great. I hope that, I really hope that more breweries in Pennsylvania and in Pittsburgh participate. I think it's important. And I think, the participation so far, and this is nationwide, has been kind of low, which is kind of a bummer. I know it's tough for breweries, especially given all the controversy with some of the breweries that have stuff going on, for them to do stuff like this and be held accountable. And, if you're posting a code of conduct, you're kind of held accountable. Like, you're saying that this is not what we believe in. And if anybody violates the code of conduct, then, something has to be done.
Right.
So I think that, I really hope that more breweries participate, because it is important. It's I feel like at least everyone I know that's, either queer or female identifying, or a person of color, we've all experienced discrimination within the industry, which is sad. It sucks. No one really likes to talk about it. It's not a fun subject, but also I think, we need to kind of get in gear and, try and make a change. The only way it's going to happen is if we push really hard. And I think it's great that, out of all the stuff that came about on Instagram, through Brienne's posts, and that, we have this project so that breweries can be like, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore, and actually take a stand. And I think the only way to get more people on board is for more people to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not it's not necessarily a fun conversation to have, but it's a necessary conversation, and you don't push through and get the change without having the conversation.
Yeah.
So part of that is recognizing that you need to talk about it, and then talking about it, and then doing something about it. And I like that you're part of that. That's great.
We should. Yeah,
it's great. I'm really happy to be at a company that it's one of our goals, and something that we all believe in. It's really important. So yeah, it was a win-win.
I was just going to say, I think we've said this before, but on to your point about wanting there to be more participation in the Brave Noise collaboration project. To our listeners, if you have a favorite local brewery and they haven't been involved in the project, ask them. Have you considered participating in Brave Noise? You know, are you guys going to do Brave Noise? Bring it up. Ask your bartender. Ask your local brewer. I mean, just put it out there. You know, I think, you know, like Dan said, having these conversations is really important. But I think also just like keeping all of this in the collective consciousness is very important too. And I think consumers can help with that by advocating for their local breweries to be involved in these sorts of projects. So we would encourage you to do so if your local brewery has not yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
And just be a good fucking human being.
Well, there's also that. Yeah, it's surprisingly not that hard. Yeah, everyone makes it out to be.
Nobody's really figured it out. It's been a long time, and like we still have trouble with it. I don't know why.
I don't get it, but yeah, I mean that's
just being able to even own up to your own imperfections and like apologizing when something slips and you realize I shouldn't have said that, or that wasn't funny. I meant it this way, but I can see how this can be hurtful. And, you know, just being more of an honest human being and owning up to those things ourselves. I mean, it starts within ourselves. You know, I know it's lame, but the Gandhi quote has always stuck with me for years. Be the change you want to see in the world. Like, it all starts with us.
Yeah.
And good beer helps.
Good beer.
That's true.
Helps.
Good beer does help.
That is very, very, very
good
true.
beer helping.
Well, I feel like that's as good a note as any to.
I see what you did there.
That's as good a note as any, I think, to land this very tangential plane that we've been riding all night. But it is a very important thing to be part of, and I'm glad that you're participating in that and you're leading the charge and being part of the change that you want to see. That's awesome. And I need to, of course, say thank you for taking the time to chat with us tonight. It's been wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Well, thank you.
I like it. You guys got to come out to the brewery. We'll show you a good time.
I think we can make that happen. Okay,
cool.
There are enough people in Pittsburgh who have been saying, "Hey, we should
got a couple.
there."
We got a couple spots to hit now,
and then we'll give Adam shit for the Wi-Fi woes.
Oh yeah. Well, and then you can also tell him about my Wi-Fi woes when I plugged my computer. So.
No, we won't. This is all just him.
Lauren didn't have any problems at all.
The only thing you did was plugged in your computer, and then like it all just went weird. And I don't really understand how that works. But
who knows?
Stranger things have happened, I suppose.
Indeed.
Well, while you're out there looking for, of course, Necromancer online, remember where you can find us. We are at Beerbusters on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And hey, there's a new TikTok. Facebook, we are Beerbusters Podcast. There's beerbusterspodcast.com. Don't forget to add /shop. There's YouTube, we're Beerbusters Podcast, and patreon.com/Beerbusters, where you may or may not be able to hear my failures at learning how to use TikTok again.
Yeah, we had something from this episode that might make it as an outtake /last call /bonus something on Patreon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, little as $1 a month is all
keep
it takes to hear me be old. Semi-fortunately, this brings us to the end of another episode of Beerbusters. And
luckily, we're better podcasters than TikTokers.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a thing that foreign governments were spying on us for using TikTok? I think I've been framed. I've been framed.
Yep. Dan has been set up by the KGB.
Well, I want to say thank you to listening to this, and for some reason you're still here along with us. Thank you for making it all these years. Don't forget to leave a rating or review on the podcast platform of choice, and do that for every podcast you listen to. But my name is Dan Baker, joined as always by my co-host and brewologist
Steph Hefner
and the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
No squids were harmed in the making of this episode, and we'll see you next time.
And don't forget to check out Insecure on HBO.